Ain't like I'm still 5 years old, you know? Ain't like I'm gonna be sitting up every night asking my mom, when's daddy coming home, you know? Who needs him?
It's all right to be angry.
How come he don't want me, man?
All us kids with no dads are gonna take over the world.
Hence why the name is Milk Run, you know. Our fathers went to get milk, never came back.
We can restore the balance.
Hashtag no dad gang.
We always end up coming back with milk. Unlike your dad, we'll be here next week. The Milk Run Podcast. Welcome back to the Milk Run Podcast. We're back for another episode.
Oh my gosh, another episode, another day.
Another dollar.
I'm excited.
Did you bring the milk?
I didn't bring the milk this
Well,
time.
somebody's got to
But
bring
I
the
think
milk.
we have a guest that has brought the milk.
We have a guest today that has brought the milk. I want to introduce to everybody today for a Milk Run special. I have talked about my brother in a previous episode, but today
Yeah, wow.
he was in town. We were doing some work together, doing some video shoots.
Wow, that's a
And
plug.
I thought to myself, well, if he's here, we may as well bring him in on an episode and reminisce about life, Efrat. So everyone, can we please give a warm welcome to my brother, Matthew?
Thank you for the 2 claps, everybody.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, that's all right.
Welcome.
How you feeling, Matty?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Matty.
Pretty sad that I don't have a dad. But
Well, welcome to the club.
Welcome to the welcome to the club.
It turns out that that's a common theme around here.
Can
We
I,
all don't have
are
one.
you lactose intolerant?
I am not. I am not like my brother.
So that has just ruined our theory
Yeah.
that boys without dads are lactose intolerant.
I was gonna make up a spiel about scientifically proven, but thanks for that.
Well, look, it's ruined. But we got Matt here today. Look, on some of the other episodes, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about how we believe that all the problems in the world stem from fatherlessness.
Wow.
When there's not a strong male role model in the house, it's game over, really. Would you agree with that?
I kind of would for most scenarios, but then you got to look at our account and how mum was able to raise 4 of us boys, and we turned out half decent. So we got to give some credit where
Hey,
credit's
okay.
due.
You turned
I
out
understand
decent.
that.
Half decent, not full decent. Half
Jake
decent.
is no.
So if you're half decent, that makes me a quarter decent or what? Something like that. I agree. We have to give mum credit. She did do a great job with the cards that she was dealt.
Yes, I agree.
But what I'm saying here is that more often than not, a fatherless home is at a disadvantage.
Definitely.
But I also think that under the right circumstances, with the right frame of mind, a fatherless home can be an advantage.
A benefit. I agree.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So, like in the case of Naruto Uzumaki, which we've talked about in previous episodes, he's on there.
Oh
We
my
got
gosh.
Minato,
Yeah, he is on my
Naruto,
arm.
the nine-tailed beast there,
Minato.
Kurama,
Kurama.
and
Naruto.
But in his case, not having parents around gave him an unending zeal and a passion
Yeah.
to do right in the world. And I think in the right circumstances, fatherlessness can become a superpower. It's like the origin story of every superhero ever. It can be, under the right circumstances, if you're willing to take responsibility.
Yep.
But if you're not, then you're at a disadvantage. And all the problems in the world come from fatherless homes. One of the episodes which you wouldn't have heard yet, because we're starting to bring them out now, we talked about some stats that fatherlessness increases crime rates exponentially. It lowers the education score. So it lowers the... Producer Sass, what was the correct wording? It lowers the educational... Now I'm lost for words. It lowers the people's ability, and I obviously don't have a
Yeah.
dad because it's lowered my
Yeah,
intelligence.
I was just about to say that.
It does all these types of things, right?
Yep.
But also I look at your life, and obviously you haven't had a dad, and I think you haven't had a dad more than me. So
That is true, because your dad did come into both our lives for a little bit.
yeah, for a little bit,
Wow.
and we'll tell a story.
Yes.
We'll tell a story in just a second of how you met my dad.
Please.
But my dad did come into my life periodically here and there.
Yes.
That rarely ever happened for you.
No.
And we'll get into that story soon. But I look at your life and the way that you turned out is pretty amazing. And so I think that if people are willing to take responsibility, they could end up like you. And that's why I want to bring you on the show today to help people dream. Because today, right in this very moment, you're a business owner.
Yes.
You started a business from scratch with nothing. and you've turned it into something that is just absolutely amazing and something that you brought me into as well.
Yes.
Which is awesome. So you were able to retire your brother. No, just joking.
Not yet. Not yet.
But you started an amazing business. You're one of the most switched on out of all our brothers. You've got your head screwed on. You're great at saving. You're good at just all these things. Your fitness level, your level of discipline and fitness is amazing as well. Like you've been fit. You've been fit since
Probably around year 11.
Year
at
11.
school, I'd say.
Wow.
and you should see some pics of he was a scrawny little rat.
Oh,
I was.
scrawny. I thought you were
I'm
going to say you were
talking-
chubby.
No,
My
I
bicep
was
was
chubby.
probably the size of my wrist. And
No
I
way.
could tense and nothing would come.
Dude,
Nothing would happen.
That's like me now. I have tuck shop lady. I have tuck shop lady arms. If I
Wow.
flap them bad boys enough, I'll start
Start flying
taking off.
away.
Who's heavier?
I'm
Jake,
heavier.
easily.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
easily.
Easily. I'm currently sitting at 71 or 72 kilo.
In my prime, because I got
Jake's
fit
around
too.
102.
Oh, when I was at my prime, I was 71 kg, ripped like Bruce Lee, man.
He is.
Oh my
He's not
gosh.
lying. I
But
do
then-
have photos to back it up.
But then I did let myself go.
That's also true.
And now I'm
It's marriage
82
life,
kilos.
right?
It's not marriage. It's my own lack of discipline, and I've
And
got to take responsibility. So anyways, your life is testimony to what can be if you take responsibility of your life. But it wasn't always that way. And I want to get there in a second. But Ephrat, I want you to finally meet my brother. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. Do you have any questions just out of the rip for Matt?
Yeah. And you know, I feel like everyone right now listening is interested. Who's older?
That would be Jake by 2 years and 2
Are
days.
you older? I thought you
I'm
were older.
No,
Nah.
did you really?
This whole time, I thought Matt was older.
No, he's younger than me.
Yes.
By
I'm the
2
youngest.
years-
I'm the youngest of the family.
No
Yeah.
way.
But me and Jake are 2 years and 2 days apart.
Oh, is it 2 years in 2 days, or is it 1 year 363 days? Because you're 10th, I'm 12th. So you came before me, which would make it 1 year 363
That's
days.
true.
Oh my gosh, guys,
Quick maths.
Wow.
that was
The
fantastic.
Milk Run
maths.
podcast, hashtag no dad gang, where we're good at maths
Wow.
and nothing
Well,
else.
one of us is good at maths.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so I'm older by
You're
2
older?
years. Yeah.
I'm tripping still. That's
I
crazy
can't believe
to
you
me.
thought he was older. I'm offended.
Wait, how
He obviously looks younger. And he acts younger. I carry myself with grace and poise.
That is not true. I don't blame you.
You
for
guys
thinking
do
that.
look eerily alike, and
That's because we're siblings.
I'm.
But it is weird though
you
because
guys
we are half brothers.
You're half brothers.
yeah,
But you
so
guys
we're
could-
half brothers. So we have different dads and the same mum.
Yeah.
And we were brought up in the same household with two other brothers who have a different dad to us again.
But all same moms.
But they
All same mum.
my two older brothers
Got
have
it.
the same dad,
Got it.
and they don't even look as much alike as me and you do.
No, I wouldn't say they do.
Wow.
And they have the same dad, same mum. We've got different dads, same mum, and we look the most alike.
Can we
out of
get
the
all your brothers on one time?
Heck yeah, bro.
Every single one.
That would be crazy.
Could be like 4 white people, 1 Asian. Or something.
Why are you assuming? my
Well,
other
they're
brothers
actually
are white?
Italian, so
Oh,
it'd be
really?
2 wogs, 1 Asian, and 2 white
Whoa.
boys.
Yeah, so they're Italian, full Italian. So Jesse and Angelo, more Jesse than Angelo, very handsome Italian.
That is true.
They
guys
got
are
the
handsome.
Italian
handsome
blood in
dude.
him, and like Jesse's so Italian that he never
Oui,
wears
oui.
his button-up shirts with
Oh, really?
with his buttons all done up. That's how Italian
is
is.
it is it chesty, hairy?
No, he waxes though.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure he shaves or waxes because he's immaculate. He's like
I'm jealous.
yeah.
That's crazy.
he's so Italian he doesn't even do up all his buttons.
Anyways, Matt, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? Who you are,
Definitely.
where
so,
you're from.
I'm Matt. I was born in Melbourne. That's obviously where my mum and father met, and I had no idea about having a dad to begin with. But mum obviously relocated me and 3 of the brothers up to North Queensland, and she started working at a school called Calvary, and all us boys started going to school there, and basically grew up in Townsville most of our life until I dropped out of school and moved to the Sunshine Coast with Jake.
So let's just stop there for a second. You're in school at what grade was it when you dropped out?
Year 12.
So you went all the way through to grade 12 and then you decided to drop out in the last year. What's all that about?
Well, I personally hated school the entire time. Like all the classes, I just couldn't learn the way that teachers were explaining it to me.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I actually started teaching myself through the textbooks, and that's when I started getting good grades.
Wow.
Yes. So yeah, but I just didn't enjoy school and the way
impressive.
that they teach people because obviously it didn't fit me. So by the
Just,
time I
just
hit
quickly on that, when you say that, when you started reading it for yourself and teaching yourself, you started learning really quick. It's funny because, you know, I always thought you were dumb.
no, it's fair call.
Not dumb in the sense of like, you know, like you're useless, but like not academically smart or not like creatively smart, right?
Definitely.
But then when you did start teaching yourself stuff, far out, you started teaching yourself literally
Shoot
everything.
the roof. Wow.
Definitely.
And everything.
Probably when my
changed.
life really began.
Wow.
It's like when
Yeah,
when
wow.
Old Mate takes the Limitless pill. What movie? Oh, it's called Limitless. that's
Limitless.
right.
Yeah.
That is such a good movie.
But yeah,
That's all.
you ended up, and isn't that so funny? The education system is great for some, but
Yep.
for others, it's actually quite
Yep.
inhibiting because
Yep.
for Matt, I mean, his grades weren't the best, but then he started
Yep.
teaching himself in a way that he could learn, and everything changed. That's pretty amazing.
But I think that shows the creativity side of your head, right?
Definitely. Well,
So-
all you have to do is ask Jake. My brain works completely different to a normal human.
100%.
Really?
It works backwards.
It does. I
And
will say
upside
things
down
back
at the
Does
same
it-
time.
Do you guys ever get into fights because
All
of
the
that?
time.
all the time.
All the fights that we get in, and me and Matt fight the most, but that's because we're the closest.
Yeah.
And we're always in contact because we work together in the business. But every single argument is a misunderstanding. Because
Wow.
because we're saying the exact same
Same thing.
thing,
Overthinking.
but
Just
he says it
differently.
backwards, and I say it forwards. And I'm like, no, bro, you're not understanding what I'm saying. And he's like, no, you're not understanding what I'm saying. And then Sarah, producer Sass, will step in and say,
I understand both of you.
I think you guys are saying the same thing. And we go, and I say, what, you mean this? And he goes, yeah. You mean this? And I go, yeah. And we go, oh. Turns out, so that's where all our
Wow.
arguments stem from.
Was this like this when you guys were little?
No, I don't think we really argued when we were little.
Not when we were really little.
Only when we got into
like high school.
High school
I'd
years.
say. That's when
Oh,
you got
you saved
stabbed with
his.
some.
You saved his life.
I did save his
A
life.
couple times, yeah, from being drowned in the pool.
Sorry, I had to just quickly say that.
Yeah,
I'm
so,
still impressed by
so
that.
there was a couple times where I got tied up to chairs, shirts pulled over my head, academic shirts that were buttoned up and tied up and thrown in the pool so I couldn't breathe.
Wow.
And then Matt jumped in and saved me. So
Let's
many times.
recreate that one day,
Yeah, but with you.
but with me instead.
Yeah, so we'll hog tie
But
you
you guys-
and throw you in the pool and
That
leave.
would just be a hate crime if you did that. So,
That's true.
So true. So we won't do that
so we won't
because
do
I don't
that.
want to go to prison. But anyway, so continue. You decide school's not for you.
Yep.
Drop
So started grade 12. Basically, I was in a few classes and just decided like I'm not enjoying school and I didn't really want to go to uni. So I figured I may as well do something that is going to interest me. So I dropped out after convincing mum for a few weeks and
It
started
only took a few weeks.
only a few weeks.
That's pretty good.
And I'm surprised she actually let me do it.
I'm surprised too, to
Because
be honest.
my mum,
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah, I get
Hectic.
you. I get you.
but yeah, dropped out, and the condition of me dropping out was to complete a certificate for in fitness.
Nice.
And did you do that?
I did,
Finished it?
finished it.
Started being a PT for a bit?
Yes, started being a PT for a
When
bit.
were you working at the fish and chip shop?
At the same time,
Okay. So
I
you're
was
working at
managing
the
the fish and chip shop.
and you started managing it when you were pretty young.
Yes, I started managing it in year 11, I think.
And then, so you're the manager of the fish and chip shop. This guy loves you.
Yep.
And you're just like living the best life, managing a fish and chip shop as a young fella. And I think that's just testimony to you. That's always been the case. People are always impressed by your work ethic and how hard you work, which is, I wish people would say the same thing about me. But unfortunately, it's just not the case. When people compliment me, they say, "Oh, you're really funny.
You're good.
You're
You're awesome.
cool." Ish, you know. But Matt's always been he's a bloody hard worker and he just gets it done. So you get the Cert 4, you start some PT stuff. I remember we made some real dodgy t-shirts for your business.
Yes, I also remember that where we spelt dieting wrong on the back of the shirt.
So
And I didn't even pick it up.
No. So this is his first business. So already out of the gate, Matt's always been good with money. As a young person anyway, he would always save birthday money, save all these different things. I'd spend everything willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But then so then Matt becomes a PT and it's his first kind of business venture. And so me and two of our friends, Jordan and Jesse, decide to help Matt out in this space. And so we all, got a t-shirt each, and all the spelling was wrong on it because none of us proofread it, but we were all committed to all of us were going to get absolutely jacked so we could promote Matt's business.
Yeah, wow.
And none of us did.
This is true.
But that's because me, Jesse, and Jordan, who are all my friends. Jordan maybe more than me and Jesse, but me and Jesse are on the same boat. We're a little bit crazy, but it never happened. So you got a couple clients when you were
Yes.
doing PT work.
Got a couple of clients up here in Townsville, and then just didn't really enjoy it that much after doing it.
Yeah, and so then what was kind of next from there?
From there, I ended up moving into a job where I was working with high-risk youth in Townsville,
Yep.
which
Wow.
was very eventful.
Is that youth work?
Yes. And I'm talking high risk, so we're talking about the kids that are out there stealing cars, doing drugs, and
Yuck.
causing all these crime problems.
You work in that exact same space.
No, I'm currently in that field
And
right
then
now.
and those young people,
Oh, lovely.
yeah, they need help.
They're great.
They-
No, they're great.
And that's what we're here for.
Yes.
Right?
Hopefully they'll listen to our podcast
Yeah.
and be like, I
so
don't
if
know.
you're a youth worker, get this in the ears of your kids.
Yes. Please get them sorted. Sorry.
So you start working with high risk youth.
Yep.
You do that for quite some time, and then
Yep.
what happened after that?
So did that for around 2 years and made absolute bank from that job. So that was a very good benefit of high risk youth, is the money.
Very good bank.
But after that, I finished up and moved to a drug and alcohol rehab center and became a support worker dealing with adult clients and youth and withdrawal clients. So people literally
Yeah, wow.
detoxing from meth, alcohol, Flucker,
So they're
all
going
the crazy
crazy,
drugs.
hey?
What's
Yes.
Flucker?
Flucker is a zombie drug that you see over in the US.
Turns
Flucker.
people into
Well,
zombies.
they had a case on the highway where someone ingested it and started eating someone on the highway.
Wait,
Eating their
what?
face. Eating their face.
and it's called Flucker.
Oh, wait. Is this in America?
Yep.
Oh, wait. I heard about this.
Yeah, so I
Is it
literally...
Flocker or Flucker?
I'm not sure how you'd pronounce it exactly, but I call it Flucker.
Yeah, okay.
Falaka.
Yeah.
No walking furries.
Mother Flucker.
Mother Falaka.
All right, so you worked there,
Yes.
and then you decided there was a bit of a dream in your heart
Yes,
to pursue
so
a different career.
did that for around a year and a half, and then I got accepted into the Queensland Police Force.
No way.
Yes, definitely. So that was very interesting.
That
Boys
was
in blue.
Yeah, so he had his little uniform and
Oh, that's cute.
and
Is there any photos that we can...
I do have one photo from the
we
uniform.
might be able to chuck some photos up.
Please.
But, so you did that for some time. You were going through academy. How long is academy?
So the academy goes for 6 months, and in that 6 months, you get all your training, you learn a bunch of laws, and then you're basically out on the road dealing with people.
Is it quite intense?
Very intense.
Damn.
Like they condense as much as they can into
Really?
those
In
6
6
months.
months. Far, and also the physicality of things as well, hey?
Definitely. And then you also do station duty in those 6 months. You actually go out to one of the stations and you're working with the cops on the road.
What?
Going into crime scenes and seeing it firsthand and getting that experience as well.
Do you get paid for this?
Yes, you get paid
I was gonna say.
fortnightly allowance.
Pretty good? Oh,
It's average. But the moment you finish the academy, the pay jumps straight up.
oh nice.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you're going through police academy.
Yep.
You know, you really, really wanted to. We're doing an hour. Did you turn that off? So you're at police academy. Edit point here.
Right now. Bam, bam.
So you're at police academy. You're kind of fulfilling this dream that you had, but not everything went to plan.
No,
Which
it
is
did
kind
not.
of which is kind
It's
of
classic.
like if you could put a life theme on the Minkyo brothers.
Yes, I can definitely agree with that.
It's that nothing ever goes to plan.
I
Yep.
love it.
So why don't you walk us through a little bit, obviously without getting yourself in trouble or saying something you shouldn't. what transpired in that space?
So basically, I think we were about 5 months into the academy, so literally just about to finish up. And we had one final PE class, and we had an instructor fly up from Brisbane for this class.
Let's go.
And he starts the lesson off saying, "I've done this for 42 years, and no one's ever been injured." And I was like, well, this is fantastic, right? And then, of course, he picks me out of the entire group and goes, I want you to demonstrate this move. And I was like, I'll show all these guys how it's done. So we're in full kit, full uniform. I'm on the ground, and I basically have a suspect on top of me trying to go for my gun. So I have to do a maneuver.
Trying to kiss you.
Well, they try to do that too, but I don't let them.
Okay.
That's the Townsville police, mate.
Oh,
That's
I
it.
love Townsville. Hey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
on the ground, basically you have a suspect on you. They're trying to get your gun, and you have to defend yourself and get them off. And the maneuver requires you to basically use both of your arms and push them. And when I did that, I ripped my left shoulder straight out of its socket, and basically powered on through and finished it. And then at the very end, the sergeant said, "Oh, I think we should redo that. That didn't look like you did it right."
No.
And I was like, I don't think I can. My shoulder literally just popped out.
what?
So from that moment, I ended up going up to the hospital, getting some scans, and I tore my labrum and was basically out of action for 6 to 8 months.
So couldn't finish police academy and couldn't go through as a police officer. And basically, if you wanted to become a police officer after you recovered,
Yep. So basically, all I had to do was my firearms training, and I would have been straight
you're
in.
done.
But obviously, the injury happened, and then after talking to the surgeon, he was saying there was going to be 18 months wait before I could do anything physical. So the only logical thing that they could do is say, let's chuck you on the front counter for 18 months. And me being the person that I am, I'm not going to sit there for 18 months. So I just left.
Yeah, and then after the 18 months of being on the front counter, would you have to do that whole training again?
I believe they were just going to make me do the last month.
Okay. So they were going to put you on a desk for 18 months, and so that was another 18 months before you can become a police officer. And so you're like, yeah, nah, not for me.
Yep.
And so then,
Well, sorry. In that whole transition of being injured is when I bought my first camera.
yeah.
So
So you were injured.
things-
You kind of, I remember you being depressed on the couch
ooh, major.
with that shoulder, that ice.
The Stingray ice sucking machine.
Yeah, the ice thing. It's like a out of Batman, bro. Like
It's
the
hectic.
Bane thing, how it injects Bane.
Oh.
So it sits on your shoulder. There's an ice box, and it pumps cold water through it.
Circulates it through.
Really?
So it's pretty amazing technology, man. Shout out science.
Yeah, shout out to science.
Yeah, shout. He's a cool guy. But so I remember you sitting on the couch, and I remember thinking, kind of like, what's next? How do you pick yourself up from this? What's kind of on the cards next? And like you said, it was while you were on the couch that you watched a video by a guy. Was it Sam Calder or Daniel Schiffer? Who came first?
Sam Calder definitely came first.
So Sam Calder, because I remember you showing me a video about Sam Calder, and it was called My Brother or something.
Yes, which is still one of his best videos he's ever done.
Oh, amazing.
It's incredible.
Shout out to Sam Calder. So you watch a Sam Calder video. Walk me through. What happened?
Well, basically, I was just watching it, and this kid couldn't make it into film school because they said he wasn't creative enough. And I'm sitting there watching this video thinking, is this school crazy? Like, this is the best video I've literally ever seen in my entire life.
Sam Calder.
Sam Calder.
He still does videos to this day, man. He's insane.
Like, sorry.
He is a big dog.
Off topic, like him versus Casey Neistat.
I think they're different.
Vibes.
Definitely different vibes.
Because I'm not sure about Casey, but isn't Casey just like a vlogger or what?
He is, but he used to do
He's
like
storyteller.
storyteller.
Yeah.
But he does it in a creative way.
Yes.
In a creative
Whereas
way.
I think
yes.
Sam Calder is like a legitimate.
Oh, videographer, like
Yeah.
Like
full on.
his stuff just looks incredible, and his transitions are like
crazy.
you've never seen them before. He's creating these out of thin air.
Really?
It's amazing. He's amazing.
You gotta show me this sometime.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah.
So you watch this. So you watch his video.
So I watched his video, got pretty inspired. Obviously, didn't make it into film school, but still started it and ended up taking off and managed to gather a huge following. So ended up not needing the film school, and I felt a bit inspired by that. And I had a friend called Jesse Ballin at my local church who was into photography and videography. So I hit him up and I said, hey bro, I'm looking at getting a camera. What should I get? And he took me down to JB Hi-Fi. And I remember I said, I want a camera for photography. And he said, no. Let's get you something that can do a bit of both, just in case you like video more.
Wow.
And I was like, nah. Like, I'm just going to do photos. I don't care about video. And then, long and behold, I didn't even take one photo on the camera.
Wow.
I literally just started taking videos. And then from that moment, I ended up getting involved in the local youth ministry and making content for them every Friday night with Jesse. And he literally taught me basically a lot of what I know. And then stuff just blew up from there. And then people started asking how much for a video. And I was like, I can get paid for this?
And that's kind of the origin story of how this whole videography business that Matt's got going on happened. And then fast forward, obviously, then I was in a bit of a workplace situation where it was a little bit crazy. And so I was like, hey, yo, do you mind if I come shoot with you?
Tag along, yeah.
And so I did. I just tagged along to a wedding, I think first, film a wedding. And I was absolutely tragic. I had a bit of experience in video editing in high school. And I've always had that kind of creative eye. But I picked it up pretty quick.
Yep.
And then me and Matt started gelling really good together with the ideas. And then it obviously kind of blew up into a business that was able to sustain us both. And it's been pretty cool ever since. But so you started doing videography. You were inspired by Sam Calder and another guy named Daniel Schiffer, who's amazing. And I just want to shout those two guys out because here's why I love people who create content, because you never know whose life you are going to impact.
Yeah.
If Sam Calder and Daniel Schiffer didn't create content, they wouldn't have created this version of Matthew Minkier.
It's true. It's pretty crazy.
And this version of Matthew is like, well, obviously amazing. Running a business, really creative in the video space, all that sort of stuff happened because these guys decided to create some content. So a little bit of inspiration out there. If you're considering making content, you're considering doing anything, just do it. Because you never know who it's going to impact.
And essentially, this is what this podcast is really about, right?
Yep.
Like, eventually, we want to help those that don't have dads, and sharing our stories and sharing other people's stories
To inspire them,
to inspire and relate. You know.
Yeah.
Hashtag no. We haven't even said it today.
We did.
Do we?
You have memory
hashtag
loss.
no gang dad.
And that's why you don't say it.
I always stuff it up.
That's
hey.
why we leave it to me.
I stuff it up every time.
Hashtag no dad gang. You got to join the crew. That's what it's all about. So it's amazing. You had another experience with a workplace after you. So we started this videography stuff. Obviously, we were still working jobs when we first started to help support what we were doing. Ran into some trouble with another workplace. Ended up doing your other shoulder.
Yes.
And obviously that's had some significant implications in your mind, mental health wise, in your body as well, as you're navigating that space. And so your journey hasn't been easy.
Definitely not.
By any stretch of the imagination. And even if you just looked at your story in the way that you just told it without taking into account the fact that you didn't have a dad growing up, it's like that's still tough. Like every sort of job that you had didn't work out. Every time you tried something, it wasn't what you thought it was, or it backfired, or you got injured along the way. And so, I mean, that's pretty hard. You persevered and you are where you are today because of your hard work. But then there's another layer to this. And that other layer is that you grew up without a dad in a home without a dad. So we didn't have anyone around. And every time I think of like having dads around or whatever, having fatherly figures around, obviously mum has a partner now, Wazza.
Yeah.
Who's the most amazing guy ever.
Wazza.
He is. He's sick.
Wazza, we love Wazza. But is it safe to say he's been the only bloke mum ever dated while we were growing up that we liked?
Yes, we wanted to basically bash or kill every single other one.
Yep. Correct. Correct.
What?
I'm talking would sit in the lounge room with baseball bats waiting
And
for her to come home from her date.
way.
Like if she doesn't come home in the next 10 minutes, we're going out.
Seriously, man.
Wow.
I remember this one time. Let me know if you remember this time too. It's the one that's burned in my memory. I'm not going to say a name, obviously. We went out one night with this guy and his kids. And I think it was around Christmas time. The only reason why I remember that is because I remember one of the kids looking for Santa Claus in the sky. That's a random part of the memory. But then we pull up to his house in his car because we're about to get in our car to go home. And there's another woman there.
Oh.
Do you not remember
I don't remember that.
Matt.
What?
So there's another woman there, and this guy, maybe because I was a bit older, mum was like, just get in the car. And I was like, no. This guy had been seeing another woman while he was seeing mum.
Yeah, far out.
What?
Yeah, and I remember, like, that shattered me because I hated this guy in the first place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was
wow.
like, and I remember crying behind the couch that night because I was so pissed off.
Yeah, for sure.
I was so angry that someone did that to my mum.
Well, let's just be glad he did it while we were kids. Because if he did it while we were a bit older,
I got that dog in me. I got that dog in me. Are you scared of me, Efrat? You should be.
Okay.
So anyways, I have a
just
lot of
wanna kiss you.
unresolved anger issues. What? So, anyways, that's kind of on a tangent. Mum had some interesting boyfriends
she definitely did.
over the years. But obviously with an amazing partner now. But so your story is, in terms of the dad, I told my story, and we're kind of similar in the way that it began.
Yep.
That our dads kind of struggle with some issues.
Yep.
And so then it was best that they kind of stay out of the picture. And then we just kind of lived our lives separate for our whole entire lives. But then walk me through kind of, how did you feel as a kid not having a dad? Let's just start there.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because I went through my first, I don't even know how old you'd be. What age would you be in year 6? 10? I went through my first 10 years of my life
10.
thinking I didn't have a dad at all.
12? Yeah.
Like, I'm talking,
Yeah.
no male and female had sex and created me.
Wow.
I was told you were like Jesus. You were just born.
Who the hell told
Mum.
you that? She told you were just born. The immaculate
You were just
conception.
born. There was no dad. And obviously I'm a kid, and I went to a Christian school. I was like, I'm just like this guy.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that makes
oh
sense.
yeah, I'm just like that guy. So
I'm not even
so
kidding.
you thought that there was
I
no
went around
dad
school
needed.
saying I'm Jesus. Like, I'm like him. And people thought I was crazy.
Well, you were.
Obviously.
Yeah. So
yeah.
because as time would tell,
Yeah,
you're
that's
not.
not true.
Yes, as time would tell, it was a lie.
So what happened in grade 6? How did you find out that you had a dad?
So basically, my grandma from my dad's side thought it was time that this kid finds out that he has another side of the family.
And you're not Jesus.
And I'm not Jesus. So
Yeah,
I had to
right.
break the news to all my friends, obviously,
crazy.
that I can't turn water into wine.
And you can't walk on water. They're like, for someone who's like, Jesus, this guy sinks a lot. in the pool."
Why can't you swim? No, that's funny.
Yeah, so you went down to Melbourne and you met your other side of the family.
Yep. So went down to Melbourne and met my dad, my 2 half sisters, and my half brother for the very first time.
That's crazy. Is that how did you feel? Like I'm presuming you'd a bunch of emotions. I mean, if I saw my dad, I'd be like, bruh, you look like me, but I don't want to talk to you right now. Like the emotions would just be going through
Definitely.
10,000 miles an hour.
Definitely. Well, it was an interesting time because obviously I was thinking about mum and I was like, well, why didn't she tell me? Like, why? How could she let me go 10 years of my life without telling me that I don't have a dad? Like, she's literally telling me that it doesn't exist. And then for dad, like, I just had more questions for him, like why he thought it was not important to be in my life or things like that. So I wasn't really angry and I was more interested in hearing the story of what happened and finding out why everything happened the way it did.
Did you ask?
I did.
Did you?
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, no, I asked.
So this is news to me.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I think I asked on the second time I visited him. And I basically said, like, why weren't you there? Like, what happened? What was that important that you couldn't be there watching me grow up?
Yeah, wow.
And
That's
basically,
big.
it's huge,
Can
and I
I-
can't even imagine for him.
That just takes balls, bro. Do you know, I still haven't said, and I've had more contact with my dad than you've had with yours.
That's true.
And I've never once asked.
Yeah.
Because, I don't like hurting people's feelings.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
But not that would hurt their feelings, but I think I've convinced myself I'm going to cause problems. So I just...
yeah, which
so
is
you
fair.
got, you got balls.
But I just wanted to know.
You got...
Like,
you are very curious.
If I
Yeah.
want to know something, I will
Yeah.
do everything I can to find
Are
out.
you guys the same though? Do you guys feel almost anxious?
Anxious in what way?
Like, I feel the thought of me even asking my mom about my dad, I crap you not, right now I'm like freaking out. Just like, I don't want to ask her, but I know to move to that next step of like freedom, I guess you need to know the whole story, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, totally. Because there might be more that you don't know. You know, like it might not be as bad as you think, or it could be
worse. Or it's like, that's not actually your dad.
So then, yeah. So you didn't feel anxious or anything, Matt, when you asked your dad?
Not really.
Did you recite what you were going to say?
Yeah, wrote a big paragraph of like,
Nah,
Dad.
I'm just in the moment. Like if I want to know something, I'll just say what's on my mind.
All right. So walk us through what happened.
So basically,
Can Jake be your dad? No, no, we won't do that. Yeah.
basically, I just asked him. I said, like, was I not important enough for you to make
How did
time?
you bring it up? Sorry, I need to know. Like,
Yeah.
I literally said, was I not important enough?
just out of the blue.
Oh, it's at his house, and
Yeah,
we were having a cup of tea.
And did you say, I just have a question? Or did you just flat out
I just flat out
guns
said it.
blaring?
Oh, right. I'm like,
Yeah, dude, I'm
to
on the
me-
edge of my seat.
To me, I'm not going to change it up. A conversation is just me saying whatever's on my head.
yeah, that's good.
Like, I'm not going to.
And you need that.
Oh,
you
I
need
have
to
a
be like
question.
that, right? I
Yeah.
feel you can't.
So you just said, was I
You know
not-
what I'm like. If
Yeah,
I,
totally, bro.
I'm not going to ask you. Oh, I have a question, Jake. I'm straight to the point.
I wish you would.
No, I love it.
I wish
I love
sometimes
it.
you would say, hey, Jake, I just have something I want to ask you.
Is that okay? This may hurt your feelings.
Nah, just kidding. But so you just came right out and said what?
I basically said, was I not important enough for you to make time to be in my life?
And what did he say?
He said, no. As in, he had other stuff that he was dealing with,
Shucks.
and he wasn't able to, like, it wasn't going to work, especially with mum. So mum was a big component in him not being able to see me
Yeah.
as well. So, like, straight up, just hearing that, like, well, you can't put all the blame on the guy if he wanted to see me and then someone's stopping him from seeing me or interacting with me.
Yep.
That's not fair on him.
Totally.
So that's why it's very important to get to the bottom.
What were you? So you saw your dad, right? And you saw him with another family.
Yep.
What was that also like? Damn,
Oh, it was
like a punch in the face.
It was crazy because when I got down to Melbourne, I was at my grandma's, and when I first got down, she started showing me photos of my dad.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, he is identical to me.
Really.
Even the other siblings, nothing like him. Me and him,
two.
identical. Like, we would pass as twins at the same
Really?
age. Yeah. Blue eyes, blonde hair,
Crazy.
identical. What was the question again?
Seeing him with another family.
Yeah, seeing him with another family. Yep. That was pretty hectic because obviously he's made time to be in their lives.
Yeah.
And
But
not
also,
mine.
yeah, like you said, it's not that he didn't choose to just simply not be in yours.
That's exactly right.
There was some issues that were involved that made mum think that possibly it wasn't a good idea.
Wasn't the healthiest at that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then also well, that's not to say that at every moment he was not healthy enough to be in your life either, you know what I mean? Like, he probably could have been there a couple of times, at least.
Definitely. But then, like, you've got to think in terms of the relationship between dad and my mum.
Yeah, yeah.
Mum's literally like, you cannot see this kid. He doesn't know you exist. So if my dad was to reach out, I probably wouldn't even believe him. Because in my head,
You were Jesus.
I didn't have a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I was just born.
So then, after that moment, did you feel like your relationship with him kind of grew a bit?
Definitely. I feel like it kind of grew. And him just being able to tell me what really happened.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, all right, I understand.
It's a whole different sense of freedom, right? When you actually know that, you know, yes, I was essentially abandoned, but now I know the reason for this. you know?
100%.
It's not like he just left you in the
And
fire.
it doesn't lessen the impact
Yeah.
that it had on your life,
No.
but what it does lessen in some way the emotional baggage.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because now I understand there was a reason
And give
behind.
more clarity
Yes.
within every... Yes, yes, yes.
So it's like the way I would describe it is it's like being punched in the face. Whether you know the reason why you got punched or not, it still hurts.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's so
That's
true.
fair.
So if somebody punched you in the face and,
Yeah.
and you're like, why did you do that? And they said, because I don't like your hat. It's like, well, you know the reason, but it still bloody hurts.
That's a very good analogy.
Just came to my head.
Wow.
So your relationship kind of started to get a bit better.
Yep.
And then you started seeing him more often than that, or kind of what happened then?
Yeah, I think I started visiting probably every year or two, going down to Geelong and catching up with him. So we started forming a good connection over the years from grade 6 to around 2019, I believe. And then, things just didn't turn out the way I thought they would.
Yeah, walk us through.
Yeah, wait, what? Yeah.
So basically, when I was in the police academy, I believe I was 3 weeks into the academy, so fresh, and it was, I believe, a Saturday morning. I get a phone call from a family member, my other brother Jake, actually, and it was probably like 6 or 7 in the morning, and I didn't really think much of it, but previous to that, I was getting phone calls from my dad for about a month or 2 months. He tried to call me like 4 times, and I was just too busy, so I never had time to pick. I told myself I was too busy, so I never had time to pick up the phone and get back to him. But then I get this phone call Saturday morning around 7 a.m. and it's my other brother Jake, and he's literally just called me and said like, "Hey, just thought I'd let you know, like, your dad's gone, like he's dead." And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." So basically, it started bawling my eyes out because I thought I was gonna get to grow up and start forming a connection with this guy who's my dad, and long and behold, he's gone just like that overnight.
Just overnight, it's just.
And I'm fresh in the academy, so you can imagine the emotions running through you. You're excited, you think life's going good, and then boom, your dad's dead, and then you go, "Oh, this guy tried to call me 4 times in the last month. Why didn't I pick up the phone and just talk to him?"
Wow.
So it's just a very difficult situation to put yourself in.
A lot of things must have been going through your mind, because I remember that day too. Pretty
Yeah,
good,
you were there.
because you came bursting into my room that morning. I don't know. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I remember it clearly.
And you just came bursting into the room and you jumped on my bed and you just cried. And you were crying and I was like, what the hell's happened? Like, I've never seen you cry like that. And
Yeah,
I
that was
like,
the next level cry.
And I was like, what the hell? What? Sorry, I just coughed out a frog in my throat. I was like, what the hell has got you so worked up? And then all you said to me was, he's passed away. He's passed away. And I'm like, who? Who? Has our dog died again? Because like a lot of our dogs have
They
died
have.
over the years.
We'll get
And
back
he
to that.
says, no, my dad passed away, and you're just crying in my bed, and then just kind of getting to watch you journey that over the next few months, and just battling with those thoughts in your head, like you said, like your dad tried to call you and you were busy to answer the phone. And even now, there's so many times where my dad's tried to call me and I'm just too busy and I don't make it a priority to try and bridge that gap. And I should.
Yeah.
But, so what happened from there? So you were feeling, obviously, what I'm hearing is you're feeling a bit guilty for not picking up the phone.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely guilty.
Walk us through some of those feelings and kind of the bit of a journey of how you sorted those feelings out within yourself.
So it was honestly just a very difficult time. I remember the first thing I had to do was obviously sort flights out to try and get down there for the funeral so I could be part of it, which was difficult because obviously I'm going to a funeral for a guy I've met a few times.
Yeah, wow.
And he's my dad, and we started getting close.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I'm going to have a good connection with this guy, and I'm actually going to get to grow up with a dad now.
Yeah.
Like, it's changed. The game's changed.
Yeah, wow.
And then it's just ripped out from under you. But then I had to go down to a funeral with half siblings that I've never lived with or really interacted with besides like once or twice.
Wow.
So like they, to put it into words, it's like them coming to my mum's funeral.
Yeah.
And like, that's my mum. I would be absolutely devastated. But that's me going to their dads as well because they lived with him. They grew up with him.
Yep.
So it was just a very difficult time. And the way it all happened was just very, very difficult because there was siblings involved in everything. And
It was just really messy
it was just a very messy way for someone to go.
Yeah.
to pass away.
Yes.
And so all these feelings that you've got welling up inside of you, go to the funeral, all of stuff is happening, you come back home. What did the journey look like in starting to work through some of these emotions that you were dealing with?
Well, it's funny because I don't think at that stage, I really did. I just played it off, and I was like, well, tough luck. Like, looks like I don't get to experience that in my life. On to the next thing. But I can definitely see how it's played into my life in the emotions and the way that I was acting in that time frame.
Yep.
In relationships and just interacting with people.
Everything. Hey, wow.
And I didn't notice it until a few years later when I was seeing a psychologist, and she pulled me up and said, hey, like, do you know you actually, like, this could be related to something like a trauma? And I was like, nah.
Yeah, man.
You're lying.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah. Give me the proof. Wow.
Yeah, so it was crazy.
Wow. So you've seen a psychologist for this?
Yes. Well, I think during the police, they granted psychologists and approved all the appointments and gave me leave for it all. So they were really good with that.
And that's kind of where it started?
Yeah, that's where it started. But I didn't really get into much with that psychologist at the police. It wasn't until I did my shoulder is when it all started coming out, because that original shoulder injury at the police, my mental health, is easily the scariest and worst time of my entire life that I've ever been in.
Yep.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
What were the psychologist sessions like? Once you start getting got deeper into it, they
were difficult because I'm sitting there trying to just get answers. Like, hey, this is my problem, solve it.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to sit here and talk about my feelings and go through everything. It's like, no, I know this is an issue. Just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Let me fix it. Like, simple. But obviously it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Especially a lot with psychology. It's like, you got to work on yourself, right? But here are the steps to help you with it.
Definitely.
So
those psychology appointments were very hard. But my mental health declined very quickly after the injury. But it was a part of everything. It was my dad dying. It was relationship. It was the injury. My future. Everything was just jeopardized and shattered in a month. Yeah, absolutely everything. Your future as a policeman, your future with a dad, future partner, like everything was just gone, evaporated in the space of a month.
Did you see a big change in Matt?
Oh yeah, totally, man. It was scary.
It was definitely the darkest time of my life.
It was very scary for me because obviously growing up with Matt, I know him.
Yeah.
And I know him better than anybody else. I know him more than my mum knows him. I know him more than anybody.
That's true. Yeah.
Because we've always been super close. And that was, for me, scary because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Wow.
And like you always knew with Matt what was going to happen because he was always so happy, you know, he was always so excitable. But then all of a sudden it was not that. And so it was scary. You could see these questions and, you know, these questions which I've experienced in my life too, which is like, is all of this worth it? Is life actually worth it as a whole?
Wow.
And so I was nervous and I didn't really know what to do either, but that's kind of, at the end of the day, it's up to each of us individually to work through our stuff. And as much as I could come in and tell Matt what to do, I learnt pretty quickly not to do that because I did try a few times to tell him what to, like, and I'm like coming in as an older brother saying, hey, like, if you just do this or if you just do that, or if you know, and it didn't help at all. Maybe one or two things may have stuck, you know, but then it's up to us individually. And I think that's where it comes down to for you, where you've seen breakthrough the most is individually taking responsibility. And that's where I've seen most breakthrough in my life is individually taking responsibility.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was scary seeing that, but it's also been an amazing thing to see the journey play out because I know how dark it was and I know how crappy the situations were and I know how many different variables were happening at the same time. It's very easy for people to throw in the towel.
Yes.
So to see Matt go through it and not throw in the towel and become who he is today and to run a business in the way that he's running a business and to seek creativity and all this sort of stuff has been really amazing. And so it's actually super inspiring. So I'm inspired by all my brothers. They're all inspiring in different ways. And so I'm pretty lucky in that regard. But yeah, it's been pretty amazing. We're going to start to finish up in a second. In summary of your life, you grew up without a dad, as did I. We grew up in a family with crazy brothers, and a crazy mum.
Oh yeah,
But she is crazy awesome all at the same time.
yeah, definitely.
She is an absolute trooper. Lots of hardships that should have pushed you down, but you've persevered. You're running a business. You're in a creative space. You're doing your own thing. You're living your life. It's pretty amazing. So, I mean, if that's not testimony to what you can achieve out there in this world, it doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter what you've gone through. It doesn't matter what's happened to you, what people have done to you.
Yep.
You have the capability and opportunity to become something great. You have
Definitely.
the opportunity and capability to become all your heart desires, but it's up to you
Yes.
to get there. It's up to you to sort your stuff. So I just have a couple questions before we finish up. And my first question is, what would you say was the hardest part of your life not having a dad?
I'd say the hardest part of not having a dad was probably to do with sports. Funny enough,
Oh wow.
I reckon.
Explain.
I don't know
So,
where this is going.
well, going through school, like
Yeah, wow.
the only thing I excelled at in school was fitness. Like I didn't really care about anything else. Every time I went to school, I was like, I don't care about English, math, science. Just let me play sports
Yeah,
because I was
P,
really good at
P,
it.
Give me that P.
That's it. And then like we'd have sports carnivals, and you'd be doing the 100-meter sprint, and all the people that you're racing, you can see on the sideline all these dads cheering them on.
Yeah, parents full stop, right? Just watching.
Well,
yeah.
yeah. And then my mum's full time working, so obviously
Yeah.
I got no one, and I'm just like, well, this is great.
I know
What's
the
the point?
feels. Yeah.
So yeah, it's very difficult seeing other people have that relationship and me just wondering what it would be like.
Yeah, wow.
Because obviously you just don't know. You never got to experience it. And then growing up, you just don't know how to do stuff. Like change a car tire, shave your face. Like there's so many things that your mum can't teach you.
I still don't
that you
know
need to
if
know how to do.
I still don't know if I'm shaving properly on my neck.
Really?
Which way do you shave, Matt? Up or down?
I don't even know.
I just do it with my eyes closed.
I'm gonna be real with you. Shout out to Gabe Morales, right?
He taught you how to shave.
He doesn't know this, but one day, because I always shave like with the grain, and then Gabe goes, nah, like I shave against it as well, so you get that smooth finish. And
I
I
wouldn't even know.
kid
bro.
you not, that was life changing.
I try to grow a beard now so I don't have to shave because I don't know how to
Really?
shave properly. Nah, I shave my neck and like shape it up a bit, but so that's interesting, man.
Wow.
Next question. What would you say was the best part of your like the best memory of your childhood, or like the best thing about not having a dad? Either or. You can answer either or.
The best thing about not having a dad, I don't even know how you'd answer that one. Because I
think
what.
my favorite part of it was being able to rebel a little bit more, because
Yeah.
I didn't have a dad to be scared of,
Yeah,
so I could kind of get away with more.
that's true. But then when I look at other people's relationships with their dad, it's usually, especially with a father-son relationship, the dad's always so lenient. He's the one saying, yeah, go try this.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, that's what I see in
a way,
movies.
in movies
anyway.
it is, but
I'm not sure about real life.
It is true. I think 50%, but I think also when it gets a bit too lenient and you get to the point where it's, I don't know, borderline illegal, that's when the dad comes in and goes, listen here, son.
Yeah.
Well, we don't, none of us have dads, so we don't know. We're acting like,
Yeah, literally, it's
Taking
like a
things
foreign
too far.
concept. Okay, well, what's like one of your favorite memories that come to your mind from childhood?
One of my favorite memories would probably have to be going to Cairns Coconut Resort.
Bro, what a great memory.
wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Cairns Coconut Resort with the giant jumping pillow.
Yes.
Mum took us up to Cairns for a holiday one year. Best holiday ever.
It was amazing.
You 5, 4?
I think 3.
I think it was me, Angelo, Matt, and Mum.
Yeah.
And so there was a massive jumping pillow. There was like a water park there too.
Yep.
It was pretty
way.
awesome, man. In Cairns tennis courts.
It
mini
was
golf.
awesome.
That was insane.
Because that was the first time that we actually went away as a family.
Yeah, wow.
Because obviously Mum couldn't afford much.
Yeah,
Like she
yeah,
was just struggling to get us food all the time.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun.
I see like such a big family dynamics when, say, you don't have a dad but you got your brothers, and like I feel like the brothers almost doesn't replace the dad figure, but helps each other up, like, you know,
It does to a degree.
balance each other out,
And I
right?
think we do now as adults kind of help each other
Yeah.
much more than we did when we were kids, but we were all hurting.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm not going to obviously tell my older brother's story, but they have another crazy story.
Yeah, wow.
In terms of what happened with their dad. That's not my story to tell.
Yep.
It's not my place. But we were all hurting.
Yeah, wow.
Definitely.
We all had severe daddy issues. And so, like, as funny as that statement is, you know, having daddy issues, we did.
Yeah, wow.
We were part of the hashtag No Dad Gang since birth. And
Respect.
and so we all struggled. So we took it out on each other for a long time. But then as we came into young adulthood and adulthood, we all became best mates.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what happened, except that we grew up and we matured.
Yeah,
and,
wow.
And we all just kind of moved on, and so now we all really get along. Obviously, we know how to poke each other, poke the bear, stare the bear. And
Yeah,
annoy
but
the
you guys are
crap
brothers.
out
Of
each
course.
other.
Yeah.
But we're brothers, and that's what brothers do.
And I think it's a testament because all you guys had that exact, you know, pain, and you guys are like, all right, I understand how these guys are going through. Yeah.
I think one thing that I think now that I didn't think when I was young, and this is the one thing that I probably like beat myself up the most about, is that now I understand why people acted the way they did, and why
Definitely.
and why they were angry, and why they wanted to
Like your brothers?
Yeah, my brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
And why they were angry, and why we were always fighting.
Yeah, wow.
And I understand now
Where that was coming from.
where that was coming from.
Yeah,
I
wow.
wish I understood when I was a kid,
Yeah.
because I gave them a hard time, I think.
Yes.
And I was really, because I was so hurt, you know, I pushed them away as well. So,
But what kid has that realization, right?
yeah,
That's
totally.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
And I think that's the beauty of looking back now
Yeah.
as adults. We can recognize, I understand where everything came from, and that's why it's so easy to forgive and forget everything. Like, I do not hold a single thing that has happened to me in my life against anyone.
Yeah, come on.
Because it's like that old saying, holding unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Wow.
And it's so true. When you hold unforgiveness, the only person that hurts is you, because the
Yeah.
other person doesn't give a crap.
I agree.
And so you've just got to let it go. But Matt, love you, love your life, love what you've achieved.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show today to the hashtag
been
No
good.
Dad
It's been
Gang,
good.
to the No Dad Gang Club,
Hashtag No Dad Gang Club.
to the Milk Run Podcast.
The milk run. And he brought the milk this episode.
He brought the milk
He
this
flipping
episode. There
brought
was
the
a lot
milk.
to unpack there. And I mean, obviously, as time progresses, we'd love to
Yeah.
have you back on the show
Please.
and help us to understand
Plenty
some
more
different
stories,
things
that's for
about
sure.
life. We have heaps of stories.
More
I
brothers.
want to get you back on when we talk about sexuality, because I have some very funny stories about some different times that we caught each other doing things that we shouldn't.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Matt experimented with the.
No, Jake kissed a
Oh,
boy
this-
once.
No, you didn't. Oh, please tell me. No, this is another episode.
Yeah,
but
we'll get there, but for now
Yes.
we need to wrap up today.
Thank you very much.
It has been an amazing episode. Efrat,
Fantastic.
thank you for listening in on our family.
No, I'm so intrigued, and I love you both so much.
We
Thank you
love
for opening
Efrat.
up.
You're the man. And if you want to stay in contact with
Yes.
everything we're doing, make sure you follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram at the Milk Run Podcast. And subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah, we got a YouTube channel, guys.
It's the best place to be.
If you don't have a dad,
If you don't have a dad, it's the best place to hang
Yeah,
out. We get up to
yes.
some mischief. We get up to some goodies
Yes.
as well. We get up to a little bit of
a
everything.
bit of fun
And you know what? We always bring the milk
back
to
the podcast.
Amen.
Come on now.
See you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Bye.